Hey, what's up, Celina?
Hey.
I was reading this Azealia Banks Playboy interview, and there were points in it that I thought were very interesting, were very true. But then, there's certain things about it. But again, I would like to get your opinion on it.
Wow, we're really doing this?
Yeah.
He sat me down today. I didn't think he was going to ask me this serious question. What's your question exactly?
My question is, was there relevancy in what she said, and can she be relevant saying all of this stuff about, black women and their mistreatment when she herself is with a white man, a so-called white man?
Well, that's kind of, it's neither here nor there. One thing I like to say as a woman of color is that, of course I am. I don't really, it's like being redundant. I don't really walk or approach life as a black woman because I am. It's almost like reiterating the obvious. I don't really live my life as a skin color. I live my life as a woman who happens to be brown. However that affects America or society in a whole is how it affects them, I have different experiences as a black woman as well. It's to say that, I've never looked at myself as a negation or as something that's problematic. I like the sun. I tan still. I'm getting over a cold. I get a cold like once every 2 years, and it hit me this month. But basically, that's what's great about the world. You have different expressions and people that have different experiences. Azealia Banks, I do feel that she has somewhat of a point because I feel that everybody can have a point when they communicate. But I don't necessarily know if it was qualified or if it was, explained in detail the way that it could be. We are all different people, there's different people across cultures. I would say that, white people have different experiences, or people that are considered Caucasian, just like black women or women of my color experience life in a very different and unique way. So what her experiences are can never be mine, and I don't necessarily feel the way she does. But I do feel that she had a point. I've experienced so many times in my life where, people treat me a certain way based on the color of my skin. I don't take it personally because I recognize where that self-hate and where that abuse comes from. And thank God I was not in an abusive situation being raised. My mom really taught me to love myself. Brown was gorgeous being raised, and my family kind of really admired people that tanned. And the darker you got was almost like, you got to think of it like this. If the world doesn't like people that are my color, then there must be some magic behind the skin. We got to start to think about how to flip things that are negative into making them positive. And I think of it as almost like a superhero power. It's like if there's so many people that have issues with me based on my color, before I even open my mouth, then how much time am I saving? How blessed am I that I can actually avoid these obstacles in life? Because if it is an obstacle, it's not my obstacle, it's someone else's. But you also have to remember that, even being raised in Brooklyn and around a lot of different cultural people, I saw a lot. I went to performing arts high school, and then for me, going to college was a lot more segregated than high school. So, I was the only sister of color in my theater department. I've always been, at times, the only black woman. And because of that, I've gotten a window into really how people of other races think. Sometimes you don't necessarily tell people what you're processing, but you just listen and watch. And what I realize is that if you have a problem with yourself, people will pick up on that frequency and either use it towards their advantage or towards your detriment. So of course white boys are going to love Azealia Banks more than she's experienced black men, because Azealia Banks still hasn't found the beauty in the fullness of her skin. I can see that, but that's a personal observation. It doesn't mean that she's not doing the best of what she can do, and it doesn't mean that she's not figuring her own journey out. We got to give each other room to be what others want to be. And I'm just thankful that that hasn't been my experience. I have a lot of men and a lot of females that love me because I'm Celina, and I just happen to be a brown-skinned woman. So, but no, I would definitely say it's there. I've definitely been treated, been ignored, been kind of tried to be kept to the back. But these are all other people's issues that I never really swallowed and I never really made mine. But did it hurt? Does it hurt at times to be kind of treated differently because of your skin color? Of course, but this happens to people that are overweight. This happens to people that, wear head wraps. This happens to Asian people. This happens to blind people. This happens to people that have broken limbs. This happens to people that are, have missing fingers. There's so many things that people, use to try to get into your mind and mentally, control your thoughts. And what I hope for is that there's more than one voice that can be expressed. And that's really the only reason why I'm choosing to answer your question, is because I don't think that people see happy, healthy versions of women of color that don't come from abusive backgrounds, that haven't been molested or abused. These are serious things. And sometimes when you are healthy, you can see where someone isn't. And that can be a scary experience for some. But we're all here to help each other. So for me, I don't necessarily consider myself just a black woman. I'm a woman of color. I'm more than that. And I know my nationality. So you have to remember, in this country, oftentimes black girls, especially that are dark like us, are really kind of treated to be in the back and to be kind of like the foot servant and, to kind of not have a voice. And so what I do appreciate about her expression is that she's challenging. She's an archetype that does not represent me, but as a black woman, I have to say that I support anybody that's on some them shit. So.
Awesome. Okay, so now we're speaking about that. Last question. What do you think about this new rising phenomena of this pseudo workout / yoga / pornography thing that a lot of these chicks is doing right now on Instagram? Like the term Instagram model, like that doesn't exist. Like Instagram is not a modeling agency.
Because if it was claimed, then it exists. And again, what we place value on is what is real.
Right.
So, there's a way for everyone to clean up. I think that that's what's great about the world we live in, is that water finds its own level. And like the old saying, birds of a feather flock together. It's interesting to see that happens to be exercised a lot more by women of color. I don't really see a lot of naked yoga, and it's interesting. But you got to remember that when we're not paid attention to as a whole, like sometimes people don't feel as though they're being paid attention to. So what I've noticed is it gives people a lot of attention and likes. Anything you do that debases yourself, that puts your naked body on Front Street. Part of the reason why I moved to Miami was to free up and live 2 blocks from the beach where I can be in a bathing suit. But, doing yoga in a bathing suit at the beach is different than doing yoga naked in your house. So, but that's not a problem for me, because if that's what makes other people happy, then they should do it. But, it's oftentimes that people that come from abusive situations or situations where they're trying to heal, they still hold on to aspects of what they're really known for or what they're comfortable at. And when you are abused, and when you do sometimes allow your room and your body to be enjoyed by others before you know it personally, you are always caught in that lower chakra realm. But, I say let strippers and let all these women, there's a place for all of us. And I hope that people do still, use this as a means to heal. But that shouldn't be the only platform, I started to feel like, wow, what's different about what I'm doing? And I said so much. I've been doing it for so long, but also I come from a place of really understanding what the craft is about. And, I can see those that kind of are, using aspects of yoga to justify, hoism, justify living in the strip club for years. You can graduate from the strip club, but I often do still respect people that are about their lower chakra realm. Like, I just saw an interview with Pinky the other day, and it was what it was, but I respect the fact that she knows what she's good at, and she puts it in the context that it is supposed to be in.
Right, but she's doing pornography straight up. What I'm seeing is women who are not even really that good at these exercises, yoga and stuff like that. I'm watching that.
It doesn't matter. You don't have to be good at anything anymore. All you have to do is act and emulate and
But that's what
and
I'm
take
saying.
pieces. Oh, but that's what the world is. You take pieces of whatever and you create your own puzzle. Is that a healthy puzzle to look at? Is that what we want all of our daughters to know is like the basis of yoga? Absolutely not. But that will get more likes, more love, 10,000 in a day when something of mine might get 10. But you have to remember, what are you really doing this for? And are those likes actually quality likes, or is it just quantity? I'd rather 10 quality than 10,000 superfluous whatever. But you know, numbers make people feel good, and that's what Instagram and social media is there for. It's almost like a pseudo therapist for people that don't really have friends. So if you do so much and you get so much love, but you're still so empty and still having to bear so much just to do it, you know, I say kudos to you if that's what you want to do. And people see through things, you know, just as we're having this conversation, I'm sure that there's plenty of men and women that recognize a lot of women of color are really taking it to the next level. I'm only speaking about that as a woman of color because I am watching and I have seen what you're talking about. But again, most women that are a little extra with their energy down there, they don't really graduate from that realm because it's not something that they know how to do. So I actually have sympathy for them because it's a cry for help. But are there people out there that can hear that, or are there just people that are going to entertain the debasement and, you know, the pornography? And pornography sells, so are we surprised? Not at all. Not at all.
Okay, well,
that's about it.
You
but I do
answered it. Anything else you want to say before we close?
Yeah, I do. Your vagina is not a Glade plug-in. Your vagina is not a stick-up. You should not be using and sticking things up your vagina in order to heal your womb. This crystal egg therapy thing has gone way too far. You are not supposed to sleep with crystals in your womb. You are not supposed to stick things up your vagina for long periods of time. You are abusing the fine art and the craft of what egg and womb healing is. I would say a book, Takshnan Chia. It's called Cultivating the Feminine Energy. It's great because it does have some techniques for women that have had that have had children, that have had certain injuries. But we're not making the delineation between who is really injured and who are doing these things for I don't know what purpose. But, you know, I want to say that egg therapy is being abused now. You are not really supposed to stick anything up your vagina for healing. Your vagina is a self-healing organism, just as your body is. And, you know, maybe because they are so disconnected from their root chakra, it is the only thing that they can do to feel some type of stimulus, to feel some type of grounding. And yes, if you are coming from a traumatized space, you might be able to use that for a couple of days for, you know, just basic connection energy. But the way in which it's being abused now is really, really dangerous. And I do want to just put a little warning out there. Just be careful. You know, you're not supposed to place objects up your vagina. What I do advise is to just abstain from sex for about 6 months. But that's hard for women to do. I've talked to a lot of women. You know, it's difficult when women are used to experiencing pleasure through their lower chakra to not do that anymore. So that's about it. Don't expect to treat your vagina like a soda can and it not fizz out. It's gonna fizz out, all right? So protect your womb by literally protecting it, not putting anything in it for a while. Yeah, you might, I'll put a post up on a little, wash. You can basically use a little bit of aloe, some apple cider vinegar, and a lemon. Squeeze it in a bottle with some purified water. Shake that bad boy up, and when you're in the tub, just clean yourself a little bit with a little apple cider, some aloe, and some lemon if you have some issues. And pay attention to your diet and pay attention to men that you let down there that you don't know. A lot of women have sex way too quickly with men, but that's my opinion. They might feel it as to be sexual revolution and expressing their goddess-like energy. But these words are trigger words, and they're getting people trapped up. And like I said, birds of a feather flock together. So those that are very traumatized will find each other. And for those that really want healing, there's ways to do it without sticking objects up your vagina. Much love. I will definitely post more stuff, and don't abuse your vagina. Peace, y'all.
Peace. Thank you, Queen.